Setsu, along with his childhood friend Yuhai and their high school classmates, finds themselves in another world, as heroes of Dystinia Kingdom. This world is currently at war with demons, breaking 5 years of peace. Setsu isn't surprised by this turn of events since he had been summoned to Dystinia in the past as the previous hero. Back then, he successfully ended the war but was sent back to Japan as a baby. While his classmates are still in the early stages of their training, Setsu has already regained his old powers. He decides to reveal his true identity to Elka, who used to be his teammate and is now a knight. He does so in a rather unusual way, by spanking her, which surprisingly reveals her secret attraction to him. Setsu also reconnects with former teammates Glide and Thea, who inform him that he disappeared in an explosion while dueling a man named Toma, which ultimately ended the war. Setsu suspects that Toma may be behind the resurgence of the war, possibly manipulating the demons with curse magic. Rather than revealing his identity publicly, Setsu chooses to go on a solo mission to find Toma and prevent the war from escalating. He leaves his teammates behind to continue training his classmates. Before embarking on his journey, he takes his old sword, Kiramaru, from Dystinia's armory. Yuhai wants to accompany him, but Setsu insists that she stays and continues her training, promising to return. Setsu comes to the aid of a young girl named Ruri when she's under attack by a monster. Ruri is on an important mission to deliver the last piece of jewelry her late grandfather repaired before his passing. Setsu kindly agrees to escort her to the next town. In the town, Ruri hopes to hire a ship to the demon continent, but all travel there has been cancelled due to the ongoing war. Trouble brews when a group of royal knights starts bothering Ruri, attempting to steal her valuables. Setsu takes action, humiliating them in front of witnesses. They find refuge in an inn, where Setsu takes a peek at the jewelry while Ruri is bathing. To his surprise, he recognizes it as a necklace from his previous life, one he had enchanted with protection magic as a gift for a dear friend. This discovery raises concerns as the necklace could only have broken if his friend had been involved in a serious fight, possibly not surviving it. Their troubles escalate when the knights frame them as demon sympathizers and attempt to arrest them. However, Setsu summons his old friend Leviathan, a water dragon and the goddess of the ocean, leaving the knights bewildered and terrified. Leviathan agrees to carry them across the sea to the demon continent. Upon their arrival on the continent, Leviathan takes down a menacing kraken before transforming into a young woman affectionately nicknamed Levea. She scolds Setsu for not assisting her in defeating the kraken. In an attempt to make amends, Setsu cooks up some deep-fried squid as an apology. During their journey, Ruri discloses that her customer is none other than Desastal Dez's Sereno, the current demon lord and an old friend of Setsu and Levea. As they don't want to waste the kraken they've taken down, they bring it to Valsi village, where the villagers are overjoyed since the kraken had been ruining their fishing trade. While celebrating with the villagers, Ruri begins to suspect that Levea has a crush on Setsu, but she's also angry that he vanished for 5 years. Things take a more serious turn when Vlad, Dez's bodyguard, spots the party. Upon seeing Setsu, he pleads for his help in saving Dez's. Dez's has been cursed and is being forced to marry Terran Sneeder, the wealthiest human merchant in the world. Terran claims he can arrange peace between humans and demons since humans believe the demons attacked their continent first. Setsu is taken aback, as he suspects a conspiracy to reignite the war, potentially involving Terran using his merchant network to spread false information. To rescue Dez's and interrogate Terran, Setsu and Levea set off to Evil Barrow, Dez's castle, with the goal of putting a stop to the impending wedding. Dez's, deeply in love with Setsu, had diligently worked to maintain the hard-won peace he achieved before Setsu's sudden disappearance. One day, her necklace mysteriously broke, so she sent it for repair, but it was never returned due to the outbreak of the new war. Terran eventually offered a peace deal in exchange for their marriage. Dez's reluctantly agreed to marry him and was made to wear a new necklace, cursed to ensure her absolute obedience, like a slave. Terran reports to the conspirators that he will soon have control over the demon continent. However, they appear uninterested in whether the war ends or not, raising suspicions. In the nick of time, Setsu interrupts the wedding to prevent Terran from placing the cursed necklace on Dez's, who is overjoyed at Setsu's return. Terran's bodyguard manages to escape and report back to the conspirators. Setsu confirms that the cursed necklace was created by Toma and destroys it. He then returns Dez's repaired necklace to her, renewing their promise of peace. Next on their journey, Setsu decides to visit his other friend, Regulus, who is the king of the Beastmen. Terran is arrested, and Dez's, now free from her forced marriage, asks Setsu for a date after the war. Uri is granted permission to open a shop in Deza's kingdom, ensuring her a promising future. Setsu and Levia depart on a new mission to find Regulus, with hope for more peaceful resolutions to come in their adventures. In a series of flashbacks, it's revealed that Yuhai had a strong desire to attend the same high school as Setsu. She even attended extra classes to improve her grades but was initially heartbroken when she couldn't meet the required standards. However, Setsu came to her rescue and helped her study. Now, in Destinia, Yuhai discovers her talent for magic and expresses her eagerness to become a part of Setsu's team. She seeks additional training from Elka and Glein to accelerate her journey as Setsu's teammate. Elka recognizes Yuhai's skills but questions her determination. To test her resolve, Elka sets Yuhai against a low-level monster, which she manages to defeat. However, Yuhai hesitates to deliver the final blow. Disappointed, Elka steps in to finish the monster off, making Yuhai realize that in a real battle, she could become a liability to Setsu. Thea helps heal Yuhai's injuries and confides that Elka's tough approach is because she also aspires to become strong enough to be on Setsu's team. Seeking guidance, Yuhai turns to Glein, who enjoys causing harm to his enemies. He advises her to find her unique form of resolve. Yuhai faces another monster and defeats it but refuses to kill it, demonstrating her newfound resolution to support Setsu without resorting to taking lives. Elka acknowledges Yuhai's resolve as it mirrors the type of determination Setsu once had. However, their plans take a sudden turn when the king unexpectedly decrees that Yuhai and her classmates will embark on a mission to the demon continent immediately. Setsu and Levia come across Alizi, one of Setsu's former students, and her friend Emil. After Setsu's disappearance, Alizi took up the role of a monster slayer, and was hired by Zathro village to deal with a dragon problem. Emil, a concerned villager, feared that her brother had vanished when the dragon appeared. Alizi noticed that the dragon's victims mysteriously disappeared without any signs of a dragon attack. In a fierce battle, Alizi manages to injure the dragon and drive it away. However, when she returns to the village, she discovers that all the villagers, except for Emil, have gone missing. She decides to take Emil to a nearby city in hopes of finding someone to care for her. Setsu becomes suspicious and speculates that powerful teleportation magic was used to kidnap the villagers, inadvertently attracting the dragon and making it appear as if the dragon was responsible for the disappearances. Clues from their conversation lead Setsu to believe that Emil might be the one behind it all. Emil eventually reveals her true identity as a powerful dragon in human form. Setsu and Alizi are forced to confront her and, in the end, they slay her to protect the innocent. Afterward, Setsu and Levia continue their journey to the Beastman continent. However, when Alizi returns to Zathro, she is shocked to find that Emil is still alive. Her real name is Meluar, the master of monsters, and she has been kidnapping people to transform them into powerful doll soldiers for Toma's army. On the Beastman continent, Shire Nico, a monster slayer, cares for her ailing sister Mainko. However, she struggles to afford the expensive medicine needed to treat her sister's illness. Meanwhile, Setsu and Levia have arrived on the Beastman continent after an arduous journey across the sea. Levia requests a well-deserved rest before continuing their journey. In the same town, Shire Nico's boss, Kuroinu, makes her an enticing offer. She promises enough money to care for Mainko indefinitely if Shire Nico assassinates a troublesome individual, Setsu. Shire Nico takes the job but finds herself quickly defeated by Setsu in their confrontation. Setsu realizes she carries the scent of cursed magic and returns her to her home without disclosing her assassination attempt to Mainko, an act for which Shire Nico is grateful. Setsu reveals a startling truth to the sisters: Mainko isn't actually sick. She has unknowingly been wearing another of Toma's cursed necklaces. With his secret weapon, the sword known as Glutton, which devours magic, Setsu removes the curse from Mainko. Their troubles are far from over, though, as Kuroinu, another one of Toma's agents, attempts to assassinate Setsu. Levia intervenes and defeats Kuroinu. Kuroinu reveals Toma's ultimate goal, a terrifying plan to become a god and eradicate all living beings, before teleporting away. Freed from the curse, Mainko and Shire Nico insist on aiding Setsu in reaching Rigdam, the Beastman capital city, all the while hoping to find and rescue Kuroinu. In the past, Setsu had tutored Roa, the Beastman's princess. Now, Setsu returns to Rigdam and is pleasantly surprised to find that Roa is eager to become his student. King Regulus also warmly welcomes him. Upon learning that Toma is the mastermind behind the ongoing war, both Regulus and Roa are enthusiastic about offering their help. However, General Rauga, who had served as Roa's fiancé, is not as trusting. He's consumed by jealousy over Setsu, and he believes that Setsu's 5-year absence has made him untrustworthy. Regulus decides to settle this matter with a duel, in which the winner will not only prove their trustworthiness, but also marry Roa. Rauga reveals a tattoo he received from a sorcerer, a mark that converts willpower into immense strength. Even when transformed into his beastly form and empowered by the tattoo, Setsu manages to defeat Rauga in the duel. However, the power of the tattoo takes a terrible toll on Rauga, causing his body to mutate and tear apart. In a horrifying turn of events, Rauga meets a gruesome end as Toma's astral form manifests from his blood. Toma confirms that the tattoo was one of his cursed creations. He reveals his grand plan, which is to destroy everything in the world for Setsu, believing this will bring them together as gods in a world of their own making. Toma vanishes, leaving Rauga's lifeless body behind. Setsu, along with his party and Roa, decides to return to the demon continent in search of Toma. Meanwhile, King Regulus is mobilizing his army to follow as soon as possible, determined to confront the looming threat that Toma represents. 10 years ago, Setsu was summoned to Destinia as the hero, along with Toma. Setsu was initially furious about being taken away from his own life to resolve Destinia's issues. To ensure his survival, Setsu underwent rigorous training and eventually entered into a pact with Toma to bring an end to the war. However, Setsu's desires led him to decide to explore the world with his friends Elka, Glein, and Thea, while Toma remained in Destinia to study magic. During his stay in Destinia, Toma came across a cursed necklace that offered him the power to return to Japan alongside Setsu. He seized the opportunity, but right after obtaining this power, he discovered that Setsu had successfully made friends with the leaders of every nation and negotiated peace, ending the war. With the war over, Toma offered to return them to Japan, but Setsu made the decision to stay in Destinia. Toma's rejection by Setsu, compounded by the curse from the necklace, drove him to the brink of insanity. In a fit of madness, Toma launched an attack on Setsu, leading to an explosion that sent Setsu back to Japan as a baby. Toma was thrown far from the scene by the force of the explosion, but the curse directed him to a temple where scientists subjected him to torturous human experiments. Toma managed to escape the facility, and he rescued 4 other survivors of the experiments: Kiroinu, Meluar, and 2 men. Now that Setsu has returned to Destinia, Toma has grand plans. He intends to form a pantheon of gods, including himself, the 4 test subjects, and Setsu. Destinia's army has arrived at the demon continent, accompanied by Setsu's classmates. Elka understands that without Setsu's presence, it's nearly impossible to put an end to the fighting. So, Yui takes it upon herself to try and prevent as many deaths as possible. The initial battle results in the loss of many lives, deeply traumatizing the classmates. Yui is compelled to stop one of her fellow students from killing an injured soldier who can no longer defend himself. The situation takes a dire turn as Elize, under the influence of Toma's manipulation, unleashes a frenzied attack with Toma's doll soldiers and monsters summoned by Meluar. This chaotic assault targets both demons and humans, sowing confusion and fear. Meluar's sinister plan involves hypnotizing Setsu's former teammates, but they prove resilient, managing to destroy her monsters. Elka seizes an opportunity and stabs Meluar in her magic core, crippling her magical power. Meluar, however, reveals that she's been augmented as a test subject with extra internal organs to survive fatal injuries and an additional magic core. With the last of her strength, she summons a massive chimera and merges with it. Elize, who still harbors affection for Meluar as a sister, snaps out of her hypnosis and stabs Meluar. Bereft of her magic and power, Meluar breathes her last in Elize's arms. The conflict isn't over yet, as a male test subject launches an attack in retaliation for Meluar's death. With everyone else exhausted, Yui bravely chooses to confront him alone. However, just in the nick of time, Setsu arrives, stepping in to prevent any further harm and turning the tide of the battle. With Regulus' army finally setting off to follow Setsu, Yui is overjoyed to see Setsu again and nearly kisses him. Setsu, however, is annoyed that Elka has been teaching Yui some unconventional and masochistic ideas. Among the test subjects, Keijuru, who escaped Setsu's attack at Deza's castle, is thrilled at the prospect of dueling Setsu once more. Meanwhile, Mineko and Shireniko discover a unique ability known as Beast Merge. This power allows them to fuse into one body, creating a form that's faster and stronger than Kiroinu. The duel results in Kiroinu's defeat, and she reveals her alliance with Toma was due to the scientists' experiments that killed all her siblings. The final test subject, Verdos, possesses synthetic iron muscles that make him immune to injuries. Roa engages in a battle with him, during which Verdos demonstrates his secondary power, which enables him to disintegrate into iron dust and reform into various shapes. Roa is injured by iron cannonballs but activates her beast form. Despite being impaled by spears, she manages to crack Verdos' armor and crush his heart. Amused by his defeat, Verdos heals Roa's injuries before collapsing. Setsu confronts Keidru and destroys his damage-absorbing armor. Despite his reluctance, Setsu is forced to kill Keidru when Keidru refuses to cease fighting. Toma, sensing that all the test subjects are defeated or dead, appears nearby, ready to execute the final stage of his grand plan. In a climactic showdown, Toma invades Evil Barrow to attack Levea and Dezes, but Setsu arrives swiftly to intervene. Possessing similar powers, their rematch escalates to such a degree that it obliterates the throne room, tears the sky asunder, and lays waste to mountains. Amidst the fierce battle, Toma realizes, with mounting fury, that the subjects are dead, leaving him utterly alone, while Setsu still has the support of his friends. In a fit of rage, Toma unleashes his powers, but Setsu recognizes that this energy is not actually Setsu's power at all. Despite Toma's overwhelming force, Setsu manages to wound him but ends up losing his sword in the process. In a moment of apparent victory, Toma gloats, only to be ensnared by Setsu in a dimensional barrier. Setsu unleashes his glutton sword, devouring Toma's magic until nothing remains. Toma despairs at the prospect of dying completely alone. However, he unexpectedly awakens to a surprising revelation. Setsu unveils the truth to Toma. Glutton consumed the cursed necklace that had led Toma into insanity in the first place. Toma is not dead, and the curse is broken. He is imprisoned, and, as per Setsu's suggestion, Toma is sentenced to use his remaining magic to send himself and Setsu's classmates back to Japan, where they can restart their lives as normal humans. Toma agrees but chooses to remain behind as a human without magic, embarking on a journey to explore the world free from the grip of insanity in hopes of making it better. Setsu decides to embrace the world as a tourist with Yuhai, visiting all their friends and exploring different countries as they recover from the war. A sense of peace descends, marking the end of a long and tumultuous journey for everyone involved.